ask the question, was Miss Janice Combs a pimp? I'm not trying to be funny, but looking at the documentary, it seems like something was going on at her house on the weekend. So when we start watching the documentary, right, The Reckoning, we are getting to know Diddy and his family life, and we are learning that his mom would host parties on the weekend, right? So we learned this from a friend of his who used to live, I guess his family rented out the bottom half of Diddy's home. Okay, so his mom was saying that they actually, she was working multiple jobs, and I'm assuming it's because her husband, Melvin, passed away. And once he passed away, she became a single mom with a single income. So she started working like 2 to 3 different jobs. One of the jobs, she said, was working as an after hours person. She worked at an after hours place. That's what she said. And she would pour drinks. Okay, cool. So she said that she would get very large tips working at this after hours spot because she was a very glamorous person. Now, it's no shade. She, I don't know, she seemed like, she's been very glamorous for a long time. If she was with this drug dealer, Melvin, she probably was very glamorous. She probably had, the designer clothes, and she had it going on, okay? But she had to maintain that lifestyle after he was deceased. Now, quiet as kept, I believe that he was a government informant, which is why he was killed, because he was a snitch. This is what I seen on an interview with Gene Deal. That's what I heard. Okay, I don't know if that's 100% correct or not, but that's what I heard. So she was protected in a lot of ways. I think with him being a drug dealer in that area. Now, we are in the Mount Vernon area, so I highly doubt he was, dealing drugs in that area or whatever criminal activity that he was a part of. It probably wasn't happening in that like city/suburb of the Bronx. It probably was happening, in the Bronx or in Harlem or whatever. So he had moved his family out of the city already. So she already was in a position, unlike many other black women at the time, who probably were dealing with drug dealers, and they lived, within the city limits and around in the proximity of whatever they had going on. Okay, so anyway, she said that she used to work at this after hours spot. And in doing so, she was coming across a whole bunch of different women who also worked in the after hours spot with her. So my thing is, once they started talking about her parties, and they were saying, that there was a lot of sex involved in the parties, and there was a lot of drugs, and she would have black exploitation films. And we all know black exploitation films have a lot of sex in them, right? Like, they show a lot of like sexual material. So Diddy's neighbor, or the person who lived on the first floor of his house, said that he and Diddy would be at the parties. So if him and Diddy are at the parties and he's a child watching these sexploitation films going on, like, what do we expect? Do we really have high hopes? Do we really have high expectations that things are going to be much different for him sexually as he grows up? Like, it just makes so much more sense when we hear about him videotaping and showing these videos, to people at his parties, because this is what he grew up watching. He literally grew up having parties at his home that his mother threw where there was sex on the TV and everybody was watching that. Now, let's just keep it real. If we're all watching porn on television, then it seems like there probably is some sexual activity going on. Now, in the documentary, they say that um, it would be like wealthy people, right? Or wealthy black men, rather, who were coming to the party, including Knicks players. So you mean to tell me that the Knicks players were coming all the way from Manhattan, where they probably live, or maybe Harlem, maybe, and they're going past the Bronx to like this little small area right outside the Bronx for a party? No, no. It's more to it. It's got to be more to it. So what I believe is that she probably was with the ladies that she was working with at this quote unquote after hour spot. She probably was having them come to those parties, right? And they probably were getting with the wealthy men. So at the end of the day, was she pimping? Like, is that something that we could say? Was she pimping people, pimping these women out? I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. But that's kind of what it's given. It's given that she was pimping and she was making connections with, you know, the women and the men, the wealthy men. And she was doing it all to, earn an income. She had become a single mom. And it's hard. I'm a single mom, so it's hard, girl. Get your money how you get your money. But, I don't know. That just seems like that's kind of how Diddy began his sexual proclivities started right there. Also, the friend talked about how they would be asked to dance at the party. So you have uh, drugs, marijuana, whatever. You have liquor. You have some porn on the TV, and then you want some kids to dance. It's given weird. It's very weird. She like doesn't really have, it seems like, boundaries when it comes to him and like sexual activity or sexual nature. And we saw that because remember a couple years ago when he did an Instagram live and it was him and his mom and they had IVs. I don't know if y'all remember that, but they had IVs and people, I guess, in the comments were like, what happened to y'all? He was like, oh, we had a wild night at party. You and your mama. Now, your mama, I don't know how old she is. I guess she's in her late 60s or something like that, early 70s. But girl, like, what are you doing? Like, what, what are you doing that you need an IV? Now, we know from Cassie's testimony that IVs were needed because they had to recover from all the drugs. Now, we know Diddy was on drugs heavily. Miss Janice, are you trying to tell us something with the IV? I don't know. But that's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. And it seems like it's been going like this since Diddy was a child. It seems like it's been going like this since he was a child. She has allowed him to be in places and spaces of a sexual nature that he did not have any business being in. So anyway, we get to, in the documentary, him talking about how he had to make extra money, just like his mom, right? His mom had to make extra money. So she decided she was going to start throwing these parties at her house after her husband died. Okay, cool. So he decided the exact same thing. He was staying with Andre Harrell, which is a whole nother topic that I'm going to get into in a second. But he decided he wanted to live with Andre Harrell, and Andre wasn't paying him enough money. So he said he had to start having parties because Andre wasn't paying him enough. Okay, so you go to New Jersey, you live in this millionaire's home, and you start having parties. When he had the party, Joy Dickerson Neal apparently was raped on camera. He videotaped himself having intercourse with Joy Dickerson Neal, who was unaware that this was happening. Only later did she find out that the videotape of her and him having intercourse was being circulated at his parties. The same thing that his mom was doing, showing these sexual, like pornographic things at parties. Okay, like we have to make the connection. So Joy Dickerson Neal mom wrote a letter to Miss Janice Combs, and she's like, "Hey, your son did this to my child, and he is actively like showing these videos to people, and my daughter is affected. All we have is our integrity in this family. Like, you know, I guess she was reaching out to her as a mother would. I know if that's my son, oh man, if I got a letter like that, I'm going off. Like, what is this? What are we doing? I need to talk to my son. I need to speak to the girl involved. I need to speak to the mama. I need to know everything because that is a jacket I do not want my son to wear. Like, girl, I need to know. What is this? Janice didn't even respond. She never responded to the lady. How do you not respond to that? Like, and the only thing I can come up with is that that was natural for her. That was a natural thing. Like, she probably think, oh, girl, you came to the party, so this is what, happens, or this is what you could expect. I don't know. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. Y'all have to let me know what you think, but that's what it seems like. So, anyway, Janice goes to, Janice doesn't respond, right? She doesn't respond. Diddy actually runs into Joy and he denies that it has happened. I guess he apologized, but she ends up suing him, right? And I think that was after Cassie's lawsuit. So that was decades after the incident actually occurred. And I kind of was like not really understanding her timeline within the story, because it was like she she stayed there because she needed a ride back from New Jersey to Manhattan. Okay, cool. She said she was helping to clean up the house because it was mud all over the house. Okay, cool. I got that. And then the next morning, she did a music video with him because the girl had called out. And we see a clip of her in the music video. And she says that she has on the exact same clothes that she had on in the music video. So to me, if I had sex the night before, like, I know I had sex the night before. Like, as a woman, you know that you had sex the night before. She never said that she felt violated in that way. So I'm not sure if the intercourse that he videotaped was vaginal, or like what. I don't know. I don't know what it was. They don't get into it. But her clothes also could not have been like torn or ripped or anything, because she wore them the next day at the video shoot. So, yeah, I don't really know, but I definitely believe her. I just, like, there are holes in the story that I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to fill in. So anyway, Joy has I think her lawsuit is pending now still. So I'm hoping that she can get some justice, from the years and years of trauma, that she has had to endure, from him, and all the things that she's had to go through just mentally and emotionally, seeing him, rise as an icon, knowing that he has done something like this to her. Something else I wanted to touch on was that he calls his parties daddy's house. He also called his music studio daddy's house. Now, to me, it all goes back to his mama. It goes back to her having these wild, raunchy parties at her house. He's thinking that this is normal. This is normal kind of behavior when we're having these like sexualized ventures and these over sexualized parties and stuff like that. And you got the nerve to call your parties daddy's house. Like, yuck. So if any girlfriend of mine had come to me and say, "Hey, look, we going to daddy's house." No, not like what? What is going on at daddy's house? No, what? And then he had the nerve to name his music studio daddy's house as well. Like, mm-mm, mm-mm. It's giving over sexualized. It's giving a place that I don't want to be. I don't want to be at no party called daddy's house. I don't want to be at a music studio called daddy's house. I don't want to be around any man that's not mine, and I need to call him daddy. No, what? No, 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 no. So it's already getting very weird as it is. So the last thing I want to touch on is Andre Harrell. Now, it has been speculated that Andre and Diddy had some kind of relationship. And it makes sense because Andre, I believe, when Diddy left Howard, he left what, his freshman year. So he had to be like 19, going on 20. When he was 19, 20, he's living a certain lifestyle, right? He's having parties in your house when you're not around. Like, he's a child, basically. And he's living in your house. He works for you. It's an employer-employee type of situation. I don't understand why you would want that kid living in your house. Like, what? I cannot understand that. Why he would be living there. Like, I don't understand that. So I was doing a little research, being nosy, and I seen Suge Knight did an interview, as well as Jaguar Wright, and I think I forgot who it was, but I think it was Suge who was speaking on Kim Porter, or maybe it was Jaguar, and they were saying how Kim Porter had an issue with the fact that Andre and Puffy had some type of personal, relationship, which would only make sense that he would be living in your home. It's the same thing that he tried to do with Usher. Now, we don't know, we don't have any facts to say that definitively, but it seems like there's a pattern. It seems like there's like a power dynamic at play, and the younger person is initiated in some kind of way sexually into that dynamic, by staying in the house of the person that has more power. And it seems like that was what was going on with Andre Harrell and Diddy. So yeah, I just wanted to speak on that too because that was like a very odd thing for him to be staying in Diddy's house and just very very weird. And we see Kirk Burrows come into the picture. And he really just got the raw end of the deal, but he was talking about how he had 25%. And they go and they show pictures of all his hard work. And he really was a person that built up Bad Boy. And Diddy really was just the face of it. But, you know, he just got effed over. He got effed over, and Diddy needed money, so he asked him for his 25% of the company, right? Janice has 75% of the company because Diddy did not want to put the company in his name, right? After he had that incident where all those people died at that basketball event. So the 25% he gave back to Diddy because Diddy said he needed money for something and he would give it back to him. He never got it back. He went to court. They denied it. They denied him that 25%. He later, at the end of the documentary, talks about how he and Diddy had some type of sexual relationship, encounters, something that was going on of a sexual nature. And I believe that is why he gave that 25% away, thinking, this is my lover, this is my friend, this is my business partner, I'm going to get it back. But he never did. Diddy played him. Yeah, he used his sexuality to play him. Just like I believe he used his sexuality to play Andre Harrell. And I think that he got all of this from Janice. She was utilizing her sexuality as a single mom to make money, make ends meet, maintain her lifestyle. She was taking women, it seems, it appears, in my opinion, from the after hour spot and having them commingling with men at her home. It seems like she was pimping. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Can't wait to see your opinion.